come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past. And here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Explore the Mouse Podcast, a podcast by Disney lovers for Disney lovers. Come join us as we dive into the wonderful world of Disney. Here is your host, Eric Godakis.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Explore the Mouse Podcast. It is a podcast by Disney lovers for Disney lovers, and hopefully to convert people that are not Disney lovers. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Maybe it will. We'll find out. I am your host, Eric Lagaikis, and this is episode number 1. And by the title that you guys can see, episode number 1 is going to be about Disney Springs. Now, I broke this up into several different parts because Disney Springs is so massive now. It's not like what it was when it was downtown Disney. It is just huge. There's so many different areas, and they got 4 different areas of Disney Springs, and they're all broken up with their own different names, like the West Side and the Landing and the Marketplace. And so I decided to kind of break this up so we're not talking for 2 hours straight just about one thing. So we're going to break this up a little bit into a couple different episodes. And as you can tell from the title, this episode is about the West Side of Disney Springs. But first, let me kind of tell you guys a little bit about myself because I want you guys to know who you're listening to. My name is Eric Lagaikis, and this is not my first podcast. I actually started a podcast earlier than 2018, and it's a podcast about firefighting, which I am a firefighter. So it was a career-based podcast, but I've always dreamt about doing a Disney podcast. I wanted to do something based off of what I really, really love in life, and Disney is that. So I really wanted to kind of share my love for Disney, meet some more Disney freaks and Disney lovers and Disney junkies and whatever you want to call it. So I decided, why not create a podcast? And since I already love doing podcasts and I already have all the equipment to do podcasting, why not do a podcast about Disney? There's people that do vlogs and all that other stuff, and which is great, and I follow a lot of them. And I'm going to be doing some of that stuff too. Like when I go to Disney, I'm going to be doing some vlogs of places we go eat and visit, and different things that I like to kind of show you. So you'll hear some things that I talk about on the podcast that you'll eventually see on our YouTube channel, which, by the way, go to YouTube, Explore the Mouse, and subscribe. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share us. Tell everyone about us. And then also with this podcast, you could hear this podcast. If you're already listening, you kind of know where to find it, but you can find it on SoundCloud. You can find it on iTunes. And eventually we will be on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio has some limitations. You have to have so many amount of podcasts before they start putting you on their airways. But eventually I will be on that, hopefully shortly. It didn't take me long with the other podcasts to get on iHeartRadio. And it's definitely really awesome to have that. So that's who I am a little bit. And like I said, my wife and I are extreme Disney junkie fans. We love Disney, and it was something that we didn't even know until we kind of started going on our first and second, third dates that we really started talking about our love for Disney, which made the new blossoming romance even 10 times better. Because if you can find a Disney junkie, just so awesome. It makes everything great. Specifically, the West Side of Disney. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the West Side of Disney, it's on the west side of Disney Springs. And the West Side of Disney is pretty much one of the original parts. When it used to be downtown Disney, it used to be one of the original parts of the downtown Disney experience. So a lot of the things that are there have actually been there pretty much since the beginning. And there's a lot of new stuff, and they keep moving things in and out, building like different things. And we'll kind of talk about some places they tore down recently and what they're building in their place. And we'll kind of go into more detail with that. But we're going to kind of talk about everything from shopping to food to entertainment that you can find in these areas, because there is a lot. And when my wife and I do go down to Disney, we do spend a lot of time at Disney Springs. We highly enjoy it. It's a fun place to go because it immerses you into that Disney experience without having to go buy the tickets to the parks. Now, don't get me wrong, the parks are great and you need to go to them, but if you're looking for like a quick, inexpensive, cheap weekend where you want that Disney feel, Disney Springs is a fantastic place. And that's kind of why I chose to do my podcast on Disney Springs first, because a lot of people listening might be like, well, it's so expensive to go to the parks. And I get it. It is really expensive to go to the parks. And, you have to plan for a long time to even do that. And, Disney Springs is a good way to kind of be able to go down to Orlando and get that Disney experience without, the expensive park ticket prices. So if you wanted a quick, inexpensive weekend, that's what my wife and I do. We'll go down to Orlando and we'll go, this is not a plug because I'm not sponsored by anybody, but we'll go to hotwire.com and we'll, do their Hotwire roulette thing where you can get like really inexpensive, nice hotel rooms. And we'll go down there for 1 or 2 days and just kind of immerse ourselves into Disney. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the West Side right now and, kind of dive in from there. And, the next couple episodes that we'll be doing will be, on the landing and the marketplace and all that other stuff. And we'll kind of dive in. And now I'm not going to be touching base on every single thing about Disney Springs or West Side or whatever. I'm actually kind of picking out a lot of my favorite things to do, kind of what I call my must. When I say my must-sees, that's what I like to go do. Not saying that you won't. I want you to go to Disney Springs. I want you to walk around and experience it for yourself. But I'm kind of giving you a blueprint of what I like to do, and kind of give you a little bit of insight of, okay, where do I start? Okay, start here. I've eaten at a lot of the restaurants. I've shopped at all the shops. I've seen all the different entertainments. I've done all the little. There's a lot of cool free things that you can do that I'm going to talk about in here as well. But you can do a lot of fun free things at Disney Springs as well. So it's just kind of a really cool experience, and I kind of want to give you all that. So hopefully this is interactive for you. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll go from there. So let's talk Disney Springs. Now, Disneyland in California and Disney World both have their own variations of Disney Springs. I'm specifically going to be talking about Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, because it's a little bit bigger. Right now, Disneyland itself, they're doing a lot of construction. So a lot of their Disney Springs their little downtown Disney area, it's kind of tore up a little bit. Last time I was there, it's been a while, it's been a couple of years, but last time I was there, they were starting to kind of close some businesses and to kind of make way for a new hotel. But from what I stay in touch with a lot of that stuff. I watch YouTube and I go to Disney's website and everything, and I know that area over at Disneyland, it's even not more run down. I don't want to say run down, but they've actually closed a lot more places since I was there a couple of years ago, and so it's one of those interesting things. So we're going to talk about Orlando, Florida, because it seems like they're building up. They're not building down. They're building up. And the first time I was ever at which used to be the old downtown Disney. The first time I was ever at the old downtown Disney, let me tell you, it was awesome. It was a great experience. But for the most part, it wasn't huge. It was not gigantic compared to what it is today. What Disney Springs is today is like 10 times bigger, maybe even more than that, than the original downtown Disney. And it's funny because I love walking through Disney Springs now. And actually remembering what downtown Disney looked like. And it's really cool to kind of see that transition to kind of where it is today, So it's interesting. But yeah, well, let's dive into it and let's kind of talk about some of the shopping and some of the favorite shopping things that I have for you at Disney. Now, there's a lot of big companies that, have their stores there. But there's some interesting ones that I think are definitely a must-do. Now, let's talk about the newest one there. And I have not seen this yet because I haven't been down there. They were doing construction last time I was there. And it used to be the old Harley Davidson store, which is right outside AMC Theater, right across from what used to be Characters of Flight. See, they're changing a lot right now. And it's a store called Disney Style. It's an apparel and accessory store. Now, again, I haven't been in there yet, but there is another store that's kind of along the same lines over in the marketplace called Trendy. And it's kind of along the same lines. It's basically trendy Disney clothes and accessories. You can find, it's like boutique, I guess you can say. You'll find you'll find like Mickey and Minnie ears that you won't find in any of the parks. They're more kind of boutique, like dressy, classy, whatever. And you'll find some really cool stuff too as well. Like different kind of T-shirts and different type of keychains and purses and all that stuff. I know my wife is going to absolutely love going in here. Because every time we go to Disney, we go to that Trendy store over in the marketplace, and she loves walking through there because of some of the stuff they actually have there, and it is really cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Disney Style has, and if you guys ever been to Disney Style, comment on, or get us on Facebook, and let us know like what your favorite thing about Disney Style is. But we're definitely going to check out Disney Style in a couple weeks when we get back home to Disney. But then one of my other favorite places to shop at, and maybe I don't shop per se, because my wife's not going to let me bring home a bunch of toys and collectibles of Star Wars, but the Star Wars Galactic Outpost is probably one of my favorite places to go into. It is literally a whole store of nothing but Star Wars. So if you guys are Star Wars fans, you can go in there and you can buy anything. You can buy everything from toys to apparel, lightsabers, the Darth Vader mask, the Stormtrooper mask, everything. I mean, you can pretty much get anything that you want Star Wars inside the Galactic Outpost. Now, the Galactic Outpost is actually not too far from Disney Style. It's in that same kind of, I call it, strip of the mall, and so it's within walking distance. So it's kind of on your way. It's on the I don't even know what would that be, the north side or south side? I don't even know what it is. But if you're walking towards Cirque du Soleil, that's kind of where you'll find it. But yes, so Star Wars Galactic Outpost is a really cool place, and definitely worth the trip if you're going there. Now, they got a bunch of other stuff in there. I mean, they got Sunglass Place, a soccer place. Another cool place that's in Disney Springs is called Fit to Run. Fit to Run is a fantastic running store. I did the Disney Half Marathon a couple years ago, 3 years ago, and during any of the marathons, whether the 5Ks or the full marathons, the Fit to Run always does like cool specials and stuff. And I went in there and filled up on my power gel goos and everything for the race, and it's a really good place, and especially if you're into fitness and into running, it's a good place to check out. And their prices are their prices are similar to if you would buy high quality running shoes at any other store. So they're not overly priced because they're at Disney. That's something that you don't have to worry about. But the next two places, these are two these are two opposite places, but I love them. The Disney Candy Cauldron. If you go to Disney, you're always going to find something at Disney that you absolutely love. And going inside the candy stores, whether it's the confectionery inside Magic Kingdom or the Candy Cauldron at Disney Springs, I just love it. I love going in to see, especially during the different holidays, Halloween and Christmas, and because they're always doing like different things, like Halloween, all their stuff is like Halloween themed, like Mickey pumpkin candy apples, and and then you go into Christmas time, they're completely different. Right now, Disney is kind of at the end of their Halloween fall, and they're going to be transitioning into Christmas here shortly, which is kind of one of the reasons I'm going down in 2 weeks, because I love seeing that transition from Halloween, fall to Christmas. Nothing more magical than that at Disney. But yeah, so you can go in there, and I mean, they got everything. Pretty much a lot of the things that you find in the other different parts of the parks, you can find at the Candy Cauldron. You find your candy apples and your Rice Krispie treats, and obviously everything is Mickey shaped or whatever. But some of the candy apples they do here are just unbelievable. I see some actually at the Candy Cauldron when I go that I don't typically see inside of the confectionery inside Magic Kingdom. I don't. So I don't know if they do things specific to the Candy Cauldron. That's something I'm not 100% positive on, but I can tell you that I haven't seen some of the stuff they make there at other parts of the park. So it's definitely worth a stop to go check out because of that reason alone. But the Candy Cauldron is a really awesome place. And once again, it's kind of right along that same strip mall path as Disney Style and the Star Wars Outpost. And cigar lovers. So if there's guys that are listening to this, if you guys love cigars, they have a great cigar shop there called Sosa Family Cigars. And Sosa Family Cigars is probably one of my favorite stops. And even if I'm not buying any cigars at the time, I love going in there because it smells amazing, because they also do pipes and stuff like that. So the smell inside is just unbelievable. And they have I think they have over somewhere like 80 different brands of cigars inside of this place. All of them are hand rolled. It's just a really cool place to go into, especially if you are a cigar lover. Because there's nothing better, especially if it's a night, especially in the wintertime. Like late fall into winter at Disney is nice because it's not too hot, it's not too cold. Like you can kind of get to a point at the end of the day, especially towards like December, January. You can kind of get to a point where, you might actually have like a nice like thin sweatshirt on or a long sleeve shirt on. So why not go out and have a cigar on your patio or wherever you're staying? I mean, I don't know where you're staying, but definitely Sosa Cigars is actually a really awesome place. So if you ever have a chance and you're there and you're into cigars, definitely peek on in. And their prices are actually really good too. Their prices are not crazy, because once again, a lot of people think Disney, everything is inflated, and it's really not in certain aspects. Now, in certain aspects, it definitely is, but in some aspects, it's not. And the cigars there are not crazy. They're reasonably priced. I mean, a cigar that I can find at my local cigar shop for $14, $15, it's probably about the same price there, maybe just a tad bit more. But prices are actually pretty decent. They're not crazy at all, and they carry some of my favorite brands, so that's awesome. And the prices are the same as I would buy at my local shop. So it's definitely a good place to stop in. Now, one of the things with shopping, too, is that there's some of the restaurants actually have their own gift shops as well, which you can stop in. Bongos, Splitsville, House of Blues. They all have their own like stores. So if you're looking for like apparel to bring back from someone that says House of Blues, Orlando, Florida, whatever, you can pop in there and you can grab whatever you want, or Bongos. And Bongos is a Cuban cafe or a Cuban restaurant and a cafe. And then Splitsville is the bowling alley. So you can pretty much find whatever you want there. But let's talk about entertainment. Because shopping is fun, but you know what? I don't shop much when I go there. I'm there for the entertainment. I'm there for also the food and everything too. So I'm a big foodie. I used to work as a chef. So food is a very important part of Disney for me. And remember, when it comes to food, there are no calories when you go to Disney. Disney is a calorie-free zone. So don't worry about what you eat. None of it's going to count anyways. So enjoy yourself. So when we talk about entertainment, I'm going to start with the one that I am so excited about, because I have not been there since it's been finished, and it's a restaurant called the Edison. And what the Edison is Edison kind of brings you back to the 1920s, kind of the Great Gatsby esque kind of essence and experience. And they not only the food, which we'll get into with the food at the Edison, but the entertainment is pretty awesome. So I did some little research into it because I have not had a chance to be there yet. But the Edison does, like, every night about 10 o'clock. You have to be 21 or over to get in, but the Edison does some great live entertainment. They have people that kind of swing in the center stage. They kind of swing from like rings and ropes and stuff, kind of like a 1920s like circus is. But then they also have the like 1920s dancers. I'll be straight honest, I don't remember the name. I think it's called like Clappers or Flappers or something like that. But they have those 1920s style dancers, and they do like live entertainment there, and they do shows, but like they do like kind of like what they call burlesque shows, and it's just a really cool experience from what I can see. Everything looks awesome there. And it just looks really cool. It's very unique. It's something that's totally different to Disney. Something that you really have not seen before there. And they got stilt walkers. They have people that walk around because apparently it's open. It's very open. It's very high, And they have stilt walkers that walk around as well on top of all the other live entertainment. So I'm really excited to go check out the Edison, not only for the food, but also hopefully for the entertainment as well. It just looks really neat. Well, let's see. While we're talking about the Edison, though, let's actually talk about some of the food. Screw it. We'll come back. We'll come back and we'll talk about food all in the same one. We could revisit, right? So, actually, I just realized I started talking about the Edison, and Edison's part of the Landing, so we won't be talking about that in this one. Forgot we're talking about the West Side, aren't we? Let's talk about the brand new building that's going up. Now, they tore down Disney Quest, and Disney Quest was one of the originals on the west side of Disney Springs, and Disney Quest was a giant playground, a video game playground. One of the coolest things about Disney Quest that you can do when it was open was you were actually able to go create your own Space Mountain ride and then go ride it inside of a virtual reality simulator. So that was actually one of the coolest things about Disney Quest, in my opinion. But they tore Disney Quest down, which is kind of sad for me. And what's going in its place is the NBA experience, the National Basketball Association. Now, I'm not a huge basketball fan, so I'm going to be straight honest with you. I'm not 100% excited about this because I don't really watch basketball anymore. I used to be big into it, being from the Chicago area, Michael Jordan and the Bulls. But I'm not really into current basketball, if that makes sense. But I have to tell you, the concept art for this place looks amazing. And last time I was there, they were building it, and they had some TV screens up where they were showing some basketball games. But I'm so excited to kind of see the progression of it and see where it's at, because based on the concept art, it looks awesome. They kind of made the outside of the building look like it's a stadium, which I think is really, really, really cool. And I think it's going to, skyline-wise, it's going to make Disney Springs look even 10 times better, I think. So even though I'm not a basketball fan, I can tell you that the aesthetics of the building, I think, is going to make that that west side of Disney Springs look even better. Because Disney Quest was just a square building. I mean, there really wasn't much to it. It was a square building with a big, I think it was, if I remember right, I think it was like a big Disney D, and then it had the Quest on it, and there wasn't anything really appealing to it. But this new NBA experience, it looks cool. Now, there is no opening date. If you go on Disney's website, they have no date for the opening, which is kind of weird, but maybe they're just kind of leaving that open based on. But I'll be there in a couple weeks, so and I'm going to do a vlog as well that I'm going to put on our YouTube channel, so you'll actually be able to see kind of what it looks like. But it's really cool. They got a big screen out there, so if you are into the NBA, you could actually sit outside and you could actually watch games that they're going to be playing live. But it's also going to have a lot of hands-on experiences, apparently, and plus also retail stores. So if you're into the NBA, and Orlando has the Magic, so I'm sure they're going to be selling jerseys for all the different teams. But if you're into NBA and you're a fan of Orlando Magic or whoever else you're a fan of, it might be a great stop for you. And I'll definitely go in and check it out. I'm not saying I won't. Don't really watch NBA too much anymore. Let's talk about, House of Blues. We'll talk about House of Blues because everyone knows House of Blues. It's a great music venue. We had a House of Blues in Chicago that, I used to go see some concerts at, and so if you're into live music, they got it. I mean, they have some big names that actually go there and play on the inside stage, but they also have live entertainment that's outside as well. That's the cool thing about Disney, especially Disney Springs, is no matter where you go, there's always some sort of live entertainment that's free. A lot of the places have people that are performing inside and outside, and then Disney has different stages set up. There's another one in the west side part of Disney Springs called Sunshine Highline. And Sunshine Highline is kind of a live entertainment area. And a lot of times, actually almost every time that I've been to Disney Springs, I have seen people, like bands there. There's people playing music, whether it's a full band or a couple acoustic or whatever it may be. Even a DJ. I remember there was one time I was pulling up there and we were walking. And we heard club music, and there was a guy DJing underneath this Sunshine Highline little pavilion. So there's always entertainment at Disney, and that's something that you cannot take away from them, is that they definitely keep you engaged. They don't let you just walk around like a typical mall. It's always engaging, and that's the cool part. But the last two I want to talk about with entertainment, because I think they're two of the cool things, is that you have AMC Movies at Disney Springs, and the cool thing about AMC at Disney Springs is that it's also a dining experience. So they got the really nice chairs, and you can order food, and you can actually have a meal while you watch movies. So if you have like a Disney movie that is being released, it's a fun place to go watch it. I know that when we're down there, my wife and I are thinking about going to watch a movie while we're down there, because the Nutcracker movie is going to be released while we're down there. So I think it's going to be really cool to go watch that. But I think it'd be really cool to go watch some of these live animated movies at that location to be in Disney. I just think it'd be really cool to do. But it's an AMC movie theater, and they just got they got the really comfortable reclining seats, and you can order food and drinks and everything. So you don't ever have to get up unless you have to go to the bathroom, of course. But you can sit there and order all your food, and they bring it to you. So it's another good experience, especially if let's say it's a rainy day, and you have nothing, and you want to look for something to do for fun at night. It's a great place to go to, because no one likes walking around in the rain. So why not go sit and watch a movie? Movies are the best rainy day thing. That's what my wife and I do all the time. If it's rainy, we go to the movies. But Splitsville is a very awesome place to go visit. Not even just for the food, which we'll get into. But Splitsville is also a really cool place as well for bowling. They also have billiards and darts and all that other cool stuff. Now, the thing with Splitsville is their prices. So their prices are fairly reasonable. I don't think they're bad at all. So if you're going to go bowling at Splitsville, it's basically $20 plus tax per person, and that gives you 1.5 hours plus shoe rentals. And that's at the peak time of 5 to 10 p.m. If you want to go a little bit cheaper, you can go before that, which I believe is from open till 5 p.m. And it's $15 plus tax per person. So it's really not that bad. And if you've ever been inside Splitsville, it's actually really cool because, the bowling, it's not set up like a normal bowling alley where you walk in and all the lanes are lined up. You might walk in and you have an area where they have like 3 or 4 lanes, and then you might turn to go to the bathrooms, and then there's like 2 or 3 lanes over there. So all the lanes are not lined up in a row like a normal bowling alley. It's kind of cool. It's if you ever been to kind of a Splitsville, or I can't remember the name of the place. There used to be one in Chicago that I used to go to all the time, and I think it's called Lucky Strike. That's what it's called. It was called Lucky Strike. And it was kind of like an entertainment bowling center, a place for adults to go and hang out and have a good night, they still had bumpers, so if you needed bumpers, they had them. But Splitsville is a great place to go to, and like I said, the food and the drinks, the atmosphere, it's a really cool place. It's actually probably one of our big stops. We love their food. It's quick, it's simple, the prices are really reasonable, and we'll get into that when we talk about food a little bit. But let's see, what else is there in entertainment? Oh, Cirque du Soleil. How did I forget about Cirque du Soleil? Oh my gosh. So I've never actually seen the Cirque du Soleil show at Disney Springs, but I have seen several Cirque du Soleil shows around the country in different places. But Cirque du Soleil, if you've never been, Cirque du Soleil is probably one of the coolest shows ever. I mean, it's not just, it has that circus vibe, but it's like the Broadway production. And they have 2 shows over there from what the website states, which I only thought they had one. I thought they only had La Nouba, but apparently they added one called Boutique. So La Nouba's been there forever. When I was there at Disney, or downtown Disney, back in 2000, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 or something like that, La Nouba was there. La Nouba, I think, is the original show, if I remember right. But on their website, it showed that they had a new one, which was called Boutique. So I'm going to look into Boutique a little bit more when I go there, just to kind of see. But La Nouba's been there forever, and I know it's been one of the most popular shows. I've talked to people that have seen La Nouba, and they said it's awesome. And from seeing other Cirque du Soleil shows, Cirque du Soleil is just amazing. And I think it's one of those that is definitely worth the ticket prices. If you're looking for some fun entertainment and you have the money to spend, it's definitely worth an experience to go see a Cirque du Soleil show. Eventually, I will go see one at Disney Springs. It's just every time I'm there, like I'm just so mesmerized with like going around and like trying the different food places. Because like I said, I love the food. But yeah, so, what's the other one? Oh, last one, Balloon Flight. So Balloon Flight it used to be called Characters in Flight, and it's a big giant inflatable balloon. It's tethered, so you can't fly up higher than where you're at. But it's tethered, and you fly up 400 feet in the air, and you can see about 10 miles or so on a good clear day. You can see about 10 miles out from where you're at. And it's a really cool place, or a really cool thing to do, especially on a clear day, to go see the parks. Because you can go up there and you can see every park. You can see Magic Kingdom. You can see Animal Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood. And not only that, on a good clear day, you actually can see all the way to Universal. Because like I said, you're 400 feet in the air and you can see 10 miles out. And you can see certain things of Universal. You probably won't be able to pinpoint and make out what they are. But, or if you have a really good camera, you might be able to get up there and get a good aerial shot of the Wizardly World of Harry Potter from the top of this balloon. But it used to be called Characters in Flight, and they changed the name, they changed the color of the balloon, they took the characters off of the balloon, and now it's just basically called Balloon Flight. And it's sponsored by the company that made the balloon, and it's a company, I believe, out of Russia or something. But so now it's just sponsored by them, and it's just called Balloon Flight. But it's a really cool experience to do. Unfortunately, when it was Characters in Flight last time I was there, it didn't. I feel like it wasn't ever open. I never really saw it open, and then I was leaving Disney to go home, and I'm driving by, and all of a sudden I see it up in the air, and I'm like, "You kidding me?" But every time I was there, it was always closed. There was nobody there. They have hours, but I don't know if it was broken down when last time I was there. But it's definitely something that's cool to do, just to get a nice aerial view of everything. But let's talk about food. We all love food, right? And if you say that food is not one of your mainstays of vacation, sorry, but you're probably lying. But Disney Springs literally has probably one of the best food areas that I can think of. They just got everything. I mean, they got everything from celebrity chefs to just really good quick service stands, which we're going to get into. And now the food is going to be slightly limited on the west side. The Landing, which we're going to talk about in the next episode, the Landing really has the true restaurant food experience. I mean, there's so many places to eat when you get inside the Landing. So we're going to kind of talk about this one, and we're going to include one in there that's technically not part of the west side, but it's right on the border. So I'm going to give it to the west side. So the west side has a little more to eat. But we'll talk about that one as well. But let's start at the very end near the parking lot. So we'll start with the House of Blues. Now I'm not sure if anyone's ever been to a House of Blues before, but with the House of Blues, it's pretty much it's kind of like your typical kind of like barbecue burger type place. I've never eaten at the House of Blues here in Orlando, Florida. I've been there for concerts, but I've never eaten there. But all the food at all the House of Blues are all the same. So the menu that's in Chicago is the same as the one in Orlando. There's no really special add-ons per se. There might be specials, but that's not really a menu item. But you're gonna find barbecue stuff. You're gonna find like pulled pork sandwiches, and they got like burgers, salads, bunch of like typical type sandwiches as well. Now the House of Blues itself, it's a fun experience. Now, I would not recommend personally to go to the House of Blues just to eat. But if you have a favorite band that's in town and you want to go see the favorite band there, yeah, definitely go check it out. Go get some good food and listen to some music. They do have good food, but it's not, personally for me, it's not, I don't go out of my way to go to House of Blues, if that makes sense. It's just they don't really have there's so many better places in Disney Springs that you can go to. Not per se on the west side. There's some decent places on the west side, but like everything is, you go by the Marketplace or the Landing, and those two places have some of the best food places, in my opinion, that you can go eat. And they're better than House of Blues. And again, this is my opinions. So if you think differently, awesome. I don't want to waste my calories, even though I said Disney is calorie free. I don't want to waste my food calories or my money going to House of Blues unless I was there for a show and I wanted to get food. I'm not just going to go there because there's so many better places, which we'll get into in episode 2 and episode 3, which is part 2 and 3 of Disney Springs. But let's talk about the food that you can find on the west side. So similar to the entertainment, we're going to start with what's coming soon. And what's coming soon is a restaurant by celebrity chef Jose Andres. And Jose Andres actually, and being a former chef, like I said, food is my passion, besides Disney. Food is a passion of mine. I love food. I love cooking. I miss it. I actually was offered a job with Disney cooking, and I turned it down. I can't say I regret the decision because you never know where I'd be in life. I wouldn't have met my wife possibly, but it was definitely an opportunity that, like, I'm curious about. What happened if I took it? Where would I be now? But I was offered a job cooking for Disney, and it was awesome. So it was, even though I didn't take it, it was just really cool to go through the interview process and get offered a job and everything like that. But Jose Andres is opening a restaurant in Disney Springs on the west side. I'm probably going to destroy the name because I'm not really great in Spanish, but Jaleo, I believe it's Helio. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I am wrong, give me the phonetic spelling in comments somewhere. But so Jose Andres is doing this restaurant. Jose Andres is probably one of the best Latin chefs that I can think of. I've actually eaten in one of his restaurants before, not in Orlando, but I've eaten at one of his restaurants before, and he does traditional Spanish food. So the traditional Spanish tapas and paella. And like I said, I've eaten his food before, and his food is phenomenal. So if this restaurant is any indication of like the food that I've eaten at his other restaurant, I think that this restaurant is going to be a huge hit in Disney. And the West Side needs restaurants like that. Because as we'll kind of go through, you'll see that there's not a ton of restaurants. Especially some really good, high-quality food restaurants. Like I said, you have House of Blues there. I'm not going to get into that again, but it's just not worth going out of your way for. So I think this restaurant by Jose Andres is actually going to be really good. I've seen some pictures of some of the menu items that are going to go on there. So apparently he must be putting menu items from other restaurants on this menu. And they look unbelievable. The paella itself looks incredible. I don't care how much that paella is going to be. I'm probably going to go and get that as soon when they open. And like I said, they were building it last time I was down there. It's still coming soon. It hasn't opened yet. So I'll be interested to see how far along they are when I go down in 2 weeks and to kind of see. And now, depending on when you listen to this, today is October. I don't even know what day it is, to be honest with you. Today's October 18th. It's a Thursday. So I'm going down on Halloween, the 31st. So this episode should be released before then. So when I say 2 weeks, that's what I mean is I'm going down October 31st. So I'll be interested to see what this place looks like. Now, one of the other cool places about the West Side is they have Disney food trucks. Now, the only problem that I have with the Disney food trucks is this. I feel that the Disney food trucks, either their hours are like wacky or crazy, or they're just not prepared because sometimes they're just not open. And also they have a bunch of food trucks. They have one called the World Showcase. They have one called Fantasy Fair. They have a taco truck. And then they have a truck that's for Indian food. But the problem is that I only ever see the Fantasy Fair and the taco truck open. I've only eaten at the, what's it called? I'm drawing a blank already. The World Showcase. I've only eaten at the World Showcase food truck one time because that's the only time it was ever open. And the food was good. The food was really good, but the Fantasy Fair is kind of, I do have to say, one of my favorite things that I've eaten at Disney comes from the Fantasy Fair food truck, which is in a little area called Exposition that's pretty much right across from like Candy Cauldron area. And it is probably one of the greatest. It was basically chicken and waffles with like this really warm maple syrup. Oh, geez. Chicken and waffles is one of those things that I just absolutely love. It's, the everything from the sweetness to the spiciness to, all the different bold flavors. It's amazing. But the taco truck is really good as well too. The tacos has tacos, tostadas, stuff like that. And if you're looking for just like a quick bite to eat, you don't want to worry about sitting down at a table, or let's say you just want a quick snack while you're walking around until your dinner reservation later, stop. I mean, it's actually a great place. And if they're open, the food that comes out of these food trucks are remarkable. I have not had one bad thing from any of these food trucks yet that I can think of. So if you have the opportunity, definitely go check out the food trucks. The food trucks are a must. I'm a huge food truck guy in general. I think food trucks are just really, really cool. But so let's look, just to kind of give you an idea of what they have. This is the menu for today. And again, you got to look at their hours too. Their hours are 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. So they're not open all day. You can't go get lunch per se. But like I said, if you have dinner reservations at 8 or even 7 and you're kind of starving, stop over and get something small. Like I said, the two cool things at Fantasy Fair that I love is the chicken and waffles, and it's like a spicy, zesty maple syrup. It's amazing. And then the shrimp and lobster mac and cheese. Oh, it is awesome. It is made with a Gouda lobster bisque sauce. So basically they make like a cheesy lobster bisque, and that's the sauce that kind of goes on top. And it's pretty amazing. And let's see, the Spring Street Taco Truck. That one pretty much has your typical stuff. It has your steak, fish, tacos, chicken tacos. I know they had a tostada before, but it's not on their menu. So I don't know if that was a special or not, but I definitely seen a tostada on their menu. So I think their menu changes a little bit, and we'll kind of keep track of that. But you can actually go look at their menu for the day and actually see which food trucks are serving which, is why I think that the other two food trucks are not operational right now, because if you go look at the schedule, because I looked at every day that I was there and a couple days leading up to when I'm going, and it's only the Fantasy Fair and the taco truck. So not sure what's going on with the World Showcase truck or the Indian food truck, but we'll see. But otherwise, food's really good. There's a really cool stand there as well that's right outside of the balloon flight, and it's called Yasaki. And Yasaki is kind of this kiosk, and you can go there and you can get like Asian bowls and wraps and stuff like that. Like they'll basically do wraps, and it has like rice and shrimp tempura, spicy tuna and stuff like that. And it's a really cool, another quick grab and go place. Like if you're looking for a snack to hold you off for a couple hours, it's definitely a cool place to go check out. And the prices are not horrible. You can go basically get, just to kind of give you an idea, you can go get like a fresh ahi tuna, or let's say you want to do like a tempura shrimp wrap. They're basically $10. So it's not too bad. Now you also could do that in a bowl too. So you could do it as a wrap, a bowl, or even get it over udon noodles. So little tidbit, if you're trying to get your most, if you go to this kiosk, if you're trying to get the most for your money, my recommendation would be to get the udon noodle bowl or the rice bowl, because the wrap is great, but you're spending $10 for a wrap. And if you're looking for something to maybe fill you up a little bit, go with the udon noodle and the rice, because it's going to fill you up for $10, opposed to spending $10 on a wrap and maybe being hungry, 20 minutes later. So if you're looking for something to kind of hold you off a little bit, go with the rice or the noodle bowl. That's my little inside tidbit for you. But let's move on to one of my favorite places. Like I said, you can get food at House of Blues. I told you about that. Let's go like one of my favorite places, and that's Splitsville. So Splitsville is one of the coolest places because, like I said, it's a bowling alley. They got pool tables, darts, all that type of stuff. So if you're looking for good entertainment, plus they got great music too. they have live entertainment that is outside in the bar. You don't even ever have to step foot inside. They have an outside bar that has seating, and you can go and you can get like the alcoholic slushy drinks, which I love to do. And with Disney Springs, you're allowed to walk around with your beers and drinks, by the way. So if you're looking, you want to kind of just go get a drink and walk, go for it. You can. That's the good thing about Disney Springs. It's open container. But Splitsville has really good food, actually. Some of the, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the stuff they have is some of their, they have kind of typical appetizers, the nachos, sliders, flatbreads, stuff like that. But, they have pizzas, and I've had their pizza one time. Their pizza's really good. It's not bad. But personally, I think I would skip out on the pizza because we'll get into this a little bit later, but there's another restaurant called Blaze that's in Disney Springs that I think is a better pizza place, and I'll tell you why when we get to that episode. But I would kind of skip out on the pizza. Their sushi is really good, actually, surprisingly, because there is Morimoto is a celebrity chef that you probably see on like Food Channel or Food Network. And Morimoto has an Asian restaurant there that does sushi. So typically I'd be like, that's where I would go. But the sushi at Splitsville is actually really good. I've never had a bad sushi roll there. So if you're looking for good sushi and, kind of some fun entertainment, that is a good place to go. And their sushi prices are actually fairly reasonable. Their sushi prices range from about $11 to $16, depending on what you get. And the $16 one is just, it's crazy. It's a huge. So it's definitely a filling little meal. And they got a bunch of really cool entrees. The unique thing about their entrees, though, is that there is no theme. They go from Asian food to kind of Caribbean tropical, all the way to like fish and chips and I mean, who else? They got so many different things. They got like short rib and mashed potatoes. So they kind of go. It's an experience around the world if you go eat at Splitsville. But the food is amazing. Their burgers are phenomenal. I've never had one bad thing there, to be honest with you. There might have been a couple things that like I might have, asked to bring back because maybe it was cooked wrong. But other than that, flavor-wise, it's a great, great place. I highly recommend Splitsville if you're looking for a good meal. My wife and I have definitely gone there a couple times just for dinner alone. We had dinner and then we walked around with drinks around Disney Springs before. So it's really cool. Now, Bongos. Bongos is pretty much kind of trying to think of how to put it. It's not too far from Splitsville, kind of kitty corner away from Splitsville. Bongos is a Cuban restaurant, and Bongos has some of the best. It's kind of, if you ever had Cuban food, it's a mixture of like, Spanish flavors with Caribbean, and their stuff is amazing. Now, one of my favorite things that they have there is they do a skirt steak that has chimichurri on it, and it is just unbelievable. Probably one of the best things I ever had. And I'm a big proponent of when I go out to eat, I don't mind spending money on good food. Like I don't mind like having like a $100 bill if the food was worth it. And this skirt steak with chimichurri sauce is worth every penny. It is just unbelievable. It's so good. I don't even remember what came with it. I believe it was yuca, like yuca fries or yuca. If you've ever had yuca, it's really good too. It's a Caribbean staple. It's kind of like their potato. Yuga, they do fries. It's unbelievable. But the skirt steak is the star of the show. It is just unbelievable. One of the best things. And the cool thing about Bongos is they also have the live entertainment too, which I didn't talk about in the entertainment section. They have like live music, dancers. You even could get out there and actually learn how to salsa dance if you want to learn how to salsa dance. It's a really fun place. Awesome design. It's been there. It's an OG. It's an original. Bongos has been there as long as I can remember Disney or Downtown Disney even being there. I'm not sure who still owns it, but I know originally when Bongos opened, it was actually run or owned by Gloria Estefan and her husband. Not sure if they still have that ownership into it, or I don't know if it was the idea, but Bongos has been there for a while, and I think there's a reason why. Their food is phenomenal. The entertainment's amazing. The drinks are great. I don't know if you ever had Cuban food, but if you didn't, you have to check it out. Cuban food is so, so good. Now, the last place I'm going to talk about is technically part of the marketplace of Disney Springs, but it's literally right on the border, and I want to kind of include this in, and that is the new Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood is also a staple. It's been there pretty much since the beginning. So, but it just went through a huge refurbishment. Planet Hollywood all across the country, world, went through a huge refurbishment. They kind of rebranded themselves. They kind of got away from the, colorful, playful, blue and red stars, and they kind of went for more like a classy look. And it is totally different. The inside is totally different. But my wife and I went and ate there not too long after they reopened. And their menu is actually designed by Food Network's Guy Fieri. If you guys don't know who Guy Fieri is, he's the host of Diner, Drive-Ins, and Dives, the mayor of Flavortown, all that other stuff. And so we went there for dinner, actually more lunch, whatever. We went there and to kind of get the experience. And let me tell you, the food at Planet Hollywood, it has so much potential. It does. I'm not telling you not to go there, but once again, I think there's better places in Disney Springs to go eat, which we'll talk about later. And like I said, when we get to the landing episode, the landing is just so much good food. And then even actually, I'm sorry, I keep saying marketplace, and it's actually not part of the marketplace. As soon as I was about to say that, I was like, you know what? It's not the marketplace it's part of, is it? That's my fault. It is, it's part of Town Center. Town Center has a bunch of good restaurants as well, but, so Planet Hollywood itself, I think there's so many other places to go eat that are better, especially if you're willing to pay the price. And like I said, I'm not against paying the price for good food, but I'm not all about spending a lot of money on food that makes me kind of wish I had more, if that makes sense. When I eat at a place, I want to eat and I want to walk out feeling satisfied. And unfortunately, I did not get that at Planet Hollywood. And I wish I did, because we ordered everything that was unbelievable. And the first thing that we ordered there, it was a sampler. And the sampler that came out, we got one of their things. It was their world famous chicken crunch. And it was basically chicken tenders, hand breaded, and some sort of like sweet, crispy, crunchy coating. And then it was served with the Creole mustard sauce, and that was pretty good. But for the price of a lot of that stuff, I mean, if you look at their high roller sampler is $36 without tax. And that gives you the famous chicken crunch, Texas tostadas, buffalo wings, 5 cheese dip, and fried jumbo shrimp. And to be honest with you, it's not worth the price. It just really isn't. I'm sorry. If you're gonna order like just a side of something, I would definitely say try the chicken crunch. It's pretty decent. The wings are fairly good. But don't go crazy with $36 on the sampler, because personally I don't think it's 100% worth it. But let's talk about the burgers, because the burgers were award winning, and I went with the most award winning one, and it was the winner of the New York City Wine and Food Festival burger category from Guy Fieri, and it's the bacon mac and cheese burger. It's $20, and it comes with applewood smoked bacon, 6 different cheese, mac and cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle, and then it's topped with crispy onion straws and basically Guy Fieri's, it's not secret because it's out there, but it's a secret donkey sauce. Let me tell you, the burger was awesome. If you go on our Facebook page, I posted a picture of the burger. The burger tasted amazing. It could have used a little more seasoning. Again, and I think that's because I used to work as a chef, so I'm very picky on food, and I think it just could have used a tad bit more, seasoning, like even just salt, maybe a little pepper. But there was a little bit of a bland note to it, which was kind of disappointing, because when I think of all those flavors together, bacon and mac and cheese and stuff, I think of just huge flavor bombs, especially when Guy Fieri calls himself the mayor of Flavorstown. I'm expecting like flavor overload, and unfortunately I didn't. It was good though, but it wasn't something that I would just, I didn't crave it again, if that makes sense. I mean, I craved it if I can make it myself, because I know the mac and cheese that I have would be really good, but and then the other thing we got was, if I remember right, I think it was the pimento grilled cheese. Actually, I think it was. And the pimento grilled cheese was basically a 6-cheese mac and cheese, cheddar, and then pimento cheese, and it was stuffed between sourdough. So it was amazing. I think we added bacon to it, if I remember right, which I think was a great call. It's been a little while since we've been there, and I totally forgot what we got. I know we have a picture of the other meal that we took, because we usually take pictures of the meals that we eat before we eat them. But the food that we got was pretty good. That was actually really decent. That had a ton of flavor, and I think it was because of the pimentos and everything like that. But that had some great flavor. Now, one of the coolest parts of that meal, and you'll see it on our Facebook page, is the shake. And when you get there, they have a menu there that has all their different shakes on it. So we decided to go with it's basically the birthday cake. We went with the birthday cake shake. And the birthday cake shake was a strawberry shake, and it was dipped in basically frosting. And then on the outside of the frosting was colored sprinkles or jimmies or whatever you call it from wherever you're at. But they were colored sprinkles, and then on top of it was a giant slice of birthday cake. And then there's a couple other things on there too. You'll see the picture on our Facebook page. But that was amazing. I highly recommend, if anything, you go there and just get a shake. They also have a chocolate one, and that it's dipped in chocolate, and then it has like M&Ms around the outside, and I think it was a big chocolate brownie or something. I highly recommend the milkshakes there. They are unbelievably good, and not too badly priced, especially for what you get. I mean, you get a giant slice of cake or a brownie, and then a milkshake. I mean, it's really, really, really good. But overall meal experience, I wouldn't really go waste my time again going to Planet Hollywood once again, because like I said, there's so many other places that are better. I wish I could talk about the better places right now. We just have to wait to another episode, but there's so many other places that are way, 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 way better. So if you want to try it. But my suggestion is, try some of the really good places first, and then down the road, if you have a break, definitely go try it out. But that's kind of where we're at. So I'm going to wrap this episode up. Again, this is episode 1. We talked about the West Side. And as you can see, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, this is almost an hour podcast right now. It probably will be over an hour once I get done talking and finishing this up. But there's a lot to talk about. And it only gets better from here, because the Landing and Town Center, they have so much stuff. Town Center, I'm not even going to get into all the shopping, because Town Center is one big giant mall. With some really good food. So I'll kind of briefly go over some of the places you can shop at, and I'll give you a couple of my favorite places to shop at. But we'll get into that in another episode. But I want to thank you guys so much for listening to episode number 1, and I really hope this turns into something big, and I hope this turns into a really good Disney community that we all can kind of be one together, if that makes sense. Stay tuned for episode number 2, which is going to be coming out shortly. And then on top of that, go check us out on Facebook. Like us, share us. Tell all your friends about the podcast. Go follow us on YouTube. Explore the Mouse on YouTube. We're going to be posting videos on there as well. And go ahead, subscribe, hit the bell button, and share it with all your friends. Thank you so much. This is Explore the Mouse Podcast, episode 1. See ya!